had accidentally hired a venue that was partway through a renovation.
Sashi Perera, comedian and lawyer.
That's my hair tie.
Today I've got Sashi Perera.
I would call the cops immediately. They don't quite understand what stand-up comedy is.
You just started a TV show.
Yeah. And I'd go to the beach. On one side, the women were like covered head to toe. Just a bit further up, you have all the Westerners in like all of their bikinis. And I'd just be like, oh my God.
Here's a quick tip from Sashi Perera.
They're like, oh, I'm meeting a star. And they're like, she's kind of... I am not his emergency contact. I just announced the pre-order for my book.
What is your book called?
Standstill. It's about, I just kind of rocked up there and cried. Crying works.
Have you faced any racism there?
Being in those spaces as a person who has a white husband, they're just kind of like, you're cool because you're with him.
And welcome back to another episode of I'm No Expert. Today I've got Sashi Perera back in the house.
Woohoo! Here we go.
3 months down.
3 months down.
Since I saw you last. You came to Sri Lanka.
To the day, and maybe not, I don't know.
Specifically, and the time. You came back to Sri Lanka a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, and you were exploring the potential, what your comedy scene was going to do here.
Yeah.
Now we're catching up again.
Yeah. For the
How did it
post-mortem.
Did you survive? How did it go?
It's been awesome. Honestly, hands down, it has been so cool because it's been the longest time that I've spent in the country since I was born, which sounds like the most ridiculous thing to say. So like Jan 26th to now, which I think like is just over 3 months. Jan, February, March. Oh God, I don't. It's a while.
Who needs numbers?
Whatever.
Who counts? Who needs mathematics?
Who needs maths when Trump is in power? Who cares? Nothing matters. It's the longest. It's the longest that I've spent in the country. It's been awesome. I have friends now. I didn't have any friends before.
Nice. Like real people that are friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Like I would count you as that. I don't know if you're ready yet.
Dude,
but,
I will take
I'm
that.
like, we're friends.
Did this happen?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
just
I think I can
happened on
like
the podcast?
I can like message you and be like, Jason, are you
Yes.
in the country?
Yeah.
Do you want to get a coffee? You know?
I love that.
I don't, because I think we covered this last time, but if you don't grow up studying here or working here, then your only friends are your family.
Yep.
And a lot of my family has moved away, passed away. Not in that order, but it was an or situation and they're not all dead.
Yeah.
And so it's just been really cool. I met a whole bunch of people. It's really exciting. People who've been here the whole time or even diaspora, they've gone out and then come back again. Yeah. Lots of people trying to do a whole bunch of different things across the country. So,
Have you, based on your assessment, so you've been traveling around, you've also been facing a lot more, or spending a lot more time, spending a lot more time in the South.
Yeah.
Have you faced any racism there?
Not.
Sorry, I just like, let me just, Are you
like it? Did you find any racist? No, I have to say I was quite shocked.
Yeah.
But I still need to work through this in my brain. I was genuinely shocked by how many white people there are in the South.
Right.
And how many white people there are in the East. Probably because when I traveled around with my family, we traveled around, like we got a van and we went to like Sigiriya and we stayed at a rest stop for a day. And then we went to Anuradhapura and then we came back. We didn't do this like stay at the beach and go to like all these cool new cafes and all of this stuff. There's places down there where you only pay in euros, like the menu is in euros, and there's like this really tiny asterisk saying like if you want to pay in rupees you can. But I was like, how are you paying in euros? And you have to pay by card. So I'm like, where's this money isn't going to Sri Lanka, is it?
Get the fuck out of town.
Yeah. And so I've started doing some posts about like just menus being in all Russian or Hebrew especially in the East is probably where I saw it the most. And the high season hasn't even started yet. Yeah. So I think being in those spaces as a person who has a white husband, so I kind of have like an in, like a weird in, because they're just kind of like, you're cool because you're with him. So I feel like I don't get that treatment, but I've been speaking to just so many people and like parties you can't go to or parties where like the foreigners enter for free, but the locals pay money to
Yeah.
enter. Like there was this bar in Arugam where the lower floor is for the locals, and then the upper floor is for the foreigners, and there's a sign saying for foreigners only. And I was like, hey, like what's that about? And they were like, oh, you know, Miss Vali, you know, like there's like all the locals get into fights down there, so that's why all the foreigners are like sequestered up there. But it's the same argument for like local toilets and foreigner toilets, right? Which also exist, by the way. I don't know if you've seen this, and like and I don't know if this has always been a thing or whether I'm noticing it because I traveled around the country with Charlie.
Right.
So we would go through separate entrances and we would go to like the different toilets. And even with the toilets, I was like, why are there separate toilets? And he's like, I think you know, like just like they're just dirtier.
Right.
And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild that we don't rate ourselves. Like we just rate ourselves. Yeah, that's been my thing where I've just been like, we need to rate ourselves.
Right. I can see two sides to that.
Yeah.
I can see like, so
is it the local side or the foreigner side?
Yeah, right. Well, there is a third side.
Here's the thing, Sashi.
Well, you haven't thought about the perspective of the ocean animals. How do they feel?
Oxygen. Where does this come in?
Because I can understand if you're running a business and a majority of people are, you know, not well behaved, I would then see, okay, here's a reason to put a rule. But that rule, I feel like, started so long ago because this is not new. This has been there though.
So I've been trying to talk to people about it, like just kind of like, is this new and I've never noticed, or is this old?
Yeah.
And is this new and I'm noticing now, or is this old and I've just never noticed because I traveled around with my family who didn't hang out in these places. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been there, man. Like I went to the South in, you know, post tsunami, like a couple of years after, once you know recovery was happening. But you would start to see foreigners only. It never said whites only. I've never seen that. But it does say foreigners only. Yeah. And then I walked in, this lady came running behind me. I was like, no.
Whoa.
And I was like, and I spoke. And then she was like, wait a minute. You look local, but you don't sound. And then she was chill about it. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, it's a lot of just white people just sitting here and enjoying the beautiful beach. And I can see where they're coming from. But I also think they need to be educated of how do you handle these different types of clientele that you do get. How do you handle that? And that comes with also associating yourself with an organization, like with the tourism board, or like I do think like if you like they don't see the benefit because they think like the government takes a lot of their money, but there is a benefit to it when it's uniformed and everyone's taken care of. It's a tricky subject.
I think it's really tricky because also it's just that thing of like, oh, I'm afforded a different type of treatment in Sri Lanka because I speak in English or I speak with an accent or they see my white husband. Yep. And so then they're like, oh, she's cool, she can hang out here. And I'm like, that is so weird. Like if you're not welcomed in your own country as a Sri Lankan, like if you're not rated in your own country, like where else? So I think I've just found that really strange, like understanding that my experience in those places would not be one that a person who didn't speak English would have, for example, or didn't have a weird accent would have. Yeah.
Did you find any stand-up comedy out there in the South and the East Coast areas?
Not
just
really
parties?
Stand-up comedy, a lot of parties and a lot of, I love like just a lot of live music. You know, Sri Lanka does that incredibly well. Like there's always live music somewhere, which I love. Yeah. And I love how stuck in the 80s, a lot of the music still is. Like ABBA is very loved here. Michael Learns to Rock. Oh my God. Yeah, let's go. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's my mom's jam.
Love it. Yeah. Blue Night. Here we go. And so it was very good. It was really confronting. And then I really just sat with feeling so confronted because I was like, why am I so bothered? Because this is the point. Tourist revenue is supposed to be coming into the country. It's really boosting all these areas that have gone through some really, really difficult times. So who cares how it's being done? Like if the money's coming in and it's going well for people, great. Yeah. I got to sit with my own feelings on that. Yeah. Like, why? Because I'm back here like once a year. Right. Shut up.
But I also think like what you were saying about there are some bad eggs, like you said, the money that's just like not coming into the country, but they're operating in here without paying their dues is something that definitely needs to change for
It
sure.
needs to change. And yeah, I've just been like just hearing just a lot of stories about bad behavior from tourists in high season and things like that. And just talking to all the different tuk-tuk drivers, it's really funny because I was like, so like, and they all immediately, they're like, oh, Russians, oh, Israelis. And they're like, and I was like, tell me the difference between the two. And they're like, Russians, bad manners, bad money. Israelis, bad manners, good money. And I was like, okay, great. As long as it's working for you. That's
Oh my God, dude, that is hilarious. What if everything you need to know about a country is just talk to a tuk driver and they'll just sum it up for you?
But that's who I talk to because they're the ones that know what's going on. They're the ones who are driving everyone around. They've got their finger on the pulse. These guys are working from like, I don't know, like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. every day, driving these tourists around. Like no one knows better than they do about what their behavior is like.
That is so wild. That is so wild. They can tell you what's going on. They have wisdom in the back of their tuk-tuk. What else can a tuk-tuk driver not do? Jesus, I love that. So you've been partaking in the South, but then you also kind of like push your stand-up comedy here, and it's pushed up pretty well. I've seen you all over the place on papers, on television. Like, how's that been going? It's
been good. It's been challenging. So yeah, really, really a lot harder than I thought to get a show up. Like, so I tried contacting people when I was outside the country and like a few different producers, and they all wanted 50% of revenue, like straight up. And I was like, I can't give you that. That's wild. I'm just going to plan it myself.
This is your first one in Sri Lanka.
First one. So I did a show at Ask for Fern last year, but it was really small. It was like a 50-seater, very small. And I wanted to do like two big, like 350-seaters here this time.
Right.
And just getting that show up was so hard because I went to meet with different venues and like they don't quite understand what stand-up comedy is.
Okay.
But they also are very averse to putting it on because of everything that happened with Natasha Edrusuria like 2 years ago. They're just kind of like, oh, stand-up comedy, we don't touch that. Like we just want nice. We just want nice. I'm like, I'm nice. I'm so nice. Like I'm so nice. Please let me put this thing on. Yeah. So it was really hard to find a venue. It was really hard to do the pricing on it because like you have to go to the Public Performance Board first, then you have to go to the Colombo Municipal Council to like pay this entertainment tax, and like sometimes you have to pay it and sometimes you don't. It depends on like whether you're selling tickets and what it's exactly called, and there's the system and then there's the system under the system. So it was just really challenging, like all of the admin stuff. And then it turned out that I'd accidentally hired a venue that was partway through a renovation. So that was my bad. And so I like,
and
got
they never
there.
told you that?
That was like, well, they're like, no, we told you you need a light and sound package. And I was like, yeah, that sounded like I needed the light and sound package, not like lights and sound for the theater. Like, so I like walked in to pay the deposit and I was like, are there microphones in here? And they're like, oh yeah, there aren't anymore. And I was like, and there's like tiles missing in the ceiling. Oh no. When they're like, if it rains, people might get wet, so don't seat people there. And I was like, okay, great. What a cool solution.
Dude, that is hilarious.
So like a week before the show, I'm like now trying to find like a light guy and a sound guy, and it was fun. It went off well, but I think the other thing is like kind of comedy venues in Sri Lanka, right? Because Sri Lanka does like hotels really well. There are these incredible like function rooms and stuff, but that's not a theater. Right. And a lot of the theaters like there's like Nada where I did like it wasn't their fault. I booked a venue halfway through a renovation. But like they're venues that have been around for quite some time and need like quite a spruce up. Yeah. So having all the a lot of the Colombo cool kids come through that venue was pretty funny because afterwards I was getting these messages being like, why was it there?
That is hilarious.
Because we can hook you up. And I was like, I don't want to do it in a hotel function room because it's a very different feeling. It makes it immediately feel more corporate. I want like the curtains and I want the backstage and Did
that ever give you an idea of that you should buy your own
Oh my God, just
like
buy
and
a
renovate one.
theater. Yeah, just buy it, reno it,
Yeah.
but then who knows what else would be in there, right? It'd just be like
True.
me and like some other stand-ups in there once a year. Like, thanks
I
for
feel
coming,
like somebody
guys.
did that, and they changed the land. Oh yeah, Joe Rogan
Oh, what?
bought I think he bought a old theater
Yeah.
and then converted it into a comedy club.
Oh, that's cool.
And then Austin in Texas is now inherently the stand-up comedy capital, as Americans love to
because
dub
of it.
they would like to dub it stand-up comedy capital of the world.
Ooh.
Because that everyone's just like flooding through. And a buddy of mine, because he's a buddy of mine, went there in person and was like, dude, that was insane. It was just comedy after comedy after comedy,
Wow.
comedian after comedian, and like Kill Tony, all of these like famous comedians come down and they're doing their thing, and it's just an uproar of like laughter, and people just love it. And Austin has become that hub. Maybe Sri Lanka does need somebody to spearhead that to
honestly,
South
like
Asia.
I would love to run comedy nights here, but like all of the public performance board stuff kind of freaks me out.
Yep.
The entertainment tax stuff kind of freaks me out. Like it just feels like there's so much bureaucracy around it that unless I spend a bit longer trying to understand all of the rules that apply, I wouldn't be able to do it in like such a fluid, because, you know, like once you're getting the comics through, like even with my openers that I had, I was like, oh, what's their material? Like,
oh yeah,
I didn't get that checked. That's my bad. But because they were just like kind of a last minute addition of like, yeah, come through, do 5, whatever.
Nice.
And so I would just say it was far more challenging than I thought it would be. But I met so many people after the show and it went really well. So I was really happy with it. But I would have loved to like just do a whole run of shows, and I could just do the one. And I met all these people who were just kind of like, we couldn't get tickets to your show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to come back, do a quicker run, but hopefully that's the hardest it will be because it was my first proper time.
You've been having a pretty good run though. You've been having sold out shows in Singapore.
Been cool.
And
Like Singapore was the same with the public censorship board as well.
Really?
You know? Like,
okay.
but we had an agent over there who was sorting all of it out, so everything was just a bit smoother. And that was in a cinema as well, in a cinema hall. Like I feel like across Asia, we're still trying to figure out what stand-up comedy means and how mad it makes us. And I cannot remember the name of the Indian comedian, but it would have been about a month and a half ago because I was interviewed by like an Indian newspaper for that. But he had made some jokes about a politician in a club in India, and their mob had like descended down on it, and like that like really damaged it, and he's gone into hiding. And so I was like, you don't want that to be a reaction.
Definitely
either.
not.
To a joke. So if we're not ready to joke yet, just
yeah. Do you feel Sri Lanka's ready to joke?
Almost. I feel like it's so close. How do you feel about that? It's so close.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like Colombo is maybe.
Colombo is, but Colombo is not the country. Hey? Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. I think they're more drawn into, like, I wouldn't even say like the exposure into comedy is still, like, I would say a majority of the country would still love WWE.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like it's simple. It's like, it just jumps, boom.
Yeah.
Not that that's it's an intellect thing. It's more like it's just what they've been exposed to.
Yeah.
And I just think like if you can win Colombo with it, I feel like there might be a chance for the rest of the country to open up. And
we can laugh now, but also it also has to be okay for women to say stuff, and I feel like that
what
is
do you mean?
Women to say stuff. You know? Okay, so for example, in Aragon Bay, right, I would walk down that main stretch, and I loved it. I loved everything about that place. It was so beautiful, and I would walk down that main stretch, and there were so many Sri Lankan dudes, like cool Sri Lankan surfer bros, and they're all holding the hands of their like Western girlfriend, and like you know, like walking up down the strip being like, does not happen the other way around. You know, like there were some Sri Lankan surfer girls in the water, but it was generally like a very boy thing. And then I'd go to the beach and have like kind of a meltdown, because on one side at Baby Point, for example, were all these people in the water, but the women were like covered head to toe basically in clothes. And it's not a religious thing. Like even when you go like to some beaches around here, like people, like the women are swimming in like t-shirts always because it's like a modesty thing here. And then just a bit further up, you have all the Westerners in like all of their bikinis and stuff. And I just be like, oh my God, I don't know what to wear.
Yeah.
I just go into like a tailspin.
Right.
So I feel like women here still are supposed to fit this mold of like being beautiful and shrouded and like wear ornaments. And I'm like, I'm not an ornament. Look at me, man. Like I'm in thongs most of the time. I'm not an ornament, but I get away with it because I don't live here.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm allowed. I don't know how many other women are allowed.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I can see that. That's a very interesting observation. Never saw it the other way because I do see a lot of the bros that are on the beach having their Western girlfriends, but I never see
smoking. There's some smoking boys around. I'll tell you.
I mean, hey, that's our island, you know? Like you grow your hair out, get some salt in it, and then you surf. But you surf if you can surf good, like not like me because I cannot surf.
It's just such a thing being from Australia. Yeah, because they're like, you surf?
Yeah. It's
I was born here.
Yeah,
We
dude.
don't surf.
It's rough. So you've done the stand-up comedy thing. You're assessing that there is a potential future.
We'll be back. Yeah.
Okay.
And now as a result of doing that one show, have met a bunch of people to work with. So hopefully that means it'll be way easier down the line. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Would you you just started a TV show in Australia as well?
Yeah.
And that's out.
Yeah. The pilot for that is out, and then we're waiting to see if it'll be greenlit for series. And I'm just doing a bunch of other TV spots, and like the TV work keeps coming, which is so cool. I never expected to be on TV, and I just announced the pre-order for my book, so that's going to be out in August. And
what is your book called?
It's all Standstill.
Okay.
It's about when I cancelled a wedding in Sri Lanka about 10 years ago to my then fiance, who is very lovely. And that's my bad. That whole book is basically me being like, that's my bad. I'm so sorry.
Let me write a 300-page book of like, I am so sorry. Whoops.
It's like if you could summarize it in 2 words. Yeah, that's my bad.
Maybe that should be a thing where we get tuk-tuk drivers to review books. It's like she's saying she's sorry. That's all.
Rubbish, utter rubbish.
That's a great idea for a show. Just tuk guys, like you give them some information, let them summarize everything.
Yeah,
awesome.
I also love with the tuk-tuks, like just, you know, sometimes it's like Jack Sparrow, and sometimes it's like the Buddha, and sometimes it's like the Native American Indian, and you're like, what's happening in here? And like 3 out of 5 are like Amma, you know,
They do have some pretty good one-liners though.
Oh, phenomenal!
Like on the back, like whenever I drive, it'll say something about like, I mean, I can't remember specifics, but it would say something that I needed to know or see, like Jesus is king, or and I'm like, Jesus is king. That's right. And I'm like, okay, thanks, Tuk Tuk, wise Tuk Tuk man. And then he's just like, huh? While I'm waving to him while I drive past. It's interesting. It is definitely interesting that you've put in the time for 3 months to shape an industry. And I'm super glad that you're going to be back. And then pushing it.
As a result of doing this now, I will never feel like a tourist again. Do you know what I mean? Like I've now been to the bank to cash a check. I have been at immigration. Nice. I've just done stuff. I went to pick my birth certificate up from a department.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait,
I ordered it online and then to get the passport.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I did all the things. I've done the things.
That's amazing. Did it drive you crazy doing all of that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, to get the deposit back from the venue, it was so funny. Like everything that should be 2 steps is like 15 steps. And so the venue was like, we're a government department, so we can't just give you back the deposit in cash. And I was like, okay, but I gave it to you in cash. And they're like, yeah, but now you need a bank account for us to give it back to you too. I was like, I don't have a bank account here. They're like, cool. Can you open one? I was like, no, I'm not going to open a bank account in my last 5 days in the country. And they're like, well, you know, you really should have told us because we're a government institution. And I was like, okay, cool. And then they had to go through this thing. I had to write a letter, and then the letter wasn't good enough. So then I had to write another letter. And then they gave me a check, and it didn't even say like cash check. It said like, I don't know, something could cancel control check or something. And I was like, so I just take this to the bank and they're going to give me money? Any bank. And it worked. There's a system, but it's just a really long one. I like walked into the Bank of Ceylon with this check, just like eyeing the man with the gun, like just being like, please don't shoot me. I was told this would work.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
funny. That is true. I like how you mentioned like something that takes 2 steps. Anywhere else, like I wouldn't say everywhere else in the world, but I would say efficient countries, Sri Lanka does take 15 steps. Have you learned to cope with that?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. They messaged me on Instagram when I was like live posting my experience at the 15 hours in immigration trying to get a passport.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, in Australia, I don't think I could get a passport in one day.
Right.
And in Sri Lanka, you can.
Right.
It will just take you a long time.
This was your Sri Lankan passport.
The Sri Lankan
so
passport.
You were getting
yeah.
your new Sri Lankan passport.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And there's like a online appointment that you can make. And so this was like in mid-March. And they were like, oh, cool, you need it in one day. Our next available appointment is on the 15th of April. I was like, cool, I need to fly next week. That's why I need it in one day,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So then I just kind of rocked up there and cried. Crying works.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait,
Crying
tell me
works.
what would you do? Like you
Well,
just walked up to her and be like,
I walked up to like the 2 men in charge of everything, because if you don't have an appointment, you're not actually just supposed to rock up.
okay.
And then I just kind of was like, my dad died and I don't have a passport uncle anymore, so I don't really know what to do. I'm really good at crying at the spot, mostly because I get frustrated a lot, so I cry a lot.
I love that.
Do you not cry to get stuff done?
I have not. No,
Never?
never.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I think I didn't have that emotional support from anybody growing up.
Huh.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So crying never worked for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. No, crying works for me all the time.
Dude, that's awesome. I gotta learn to do this. This is like, here's a quick tip from Sashi Perera, folks. If you're ever getting your passport from the immigration services, do try it. Cry.
You cry. They can't fit you on an airline. You cry. It's
That is
great.
hilarious. So you cried and then they let you.
So I cried, and then they let me go to all the way in the back of the line. And then I was posting the whole time that I was there, and I also had other documents saying that like I have the show in Singapore. What happened was that I did have a passport.
Mhm.
It's now like slipped under the 6 months, so it's
Yep.
this whole thing. So I had other stuff too, but there was a lady who had also spent some time there, and she was like, "You just have to embrace the lunacy."
Yeah.
Just embrace it.
Yeah.
What are we standing in line for? We don't know. We'll know when we get to the counter. And there was this guy, like we waited for like 2 hours. And at one point I was like, oh, like, what do you think we're waiting for? Do you think it's fingerprints? And this guy was like, it's not fingerprints. And 2 hours later it was fingerprints. And I was like, I told you.
Yeah. That's a win.
Yeah. And then one time we had to all line up, and then someone stapled all of our papers. And then we went through another door, and then a guy yelled at us to like immediately take out the staples. And it was like, but we just, yeah, cool, that's fine.
Holy shit.
But then I got my passport,
That's amazing.
which I'm not sure I would have been able to do in Australia. So like there is a process, and it does work.
Yeah.
You just have to like just give yourself
just flow.
to the chaos river.
Yeah. That system, man. It's not a system. It's a way of life.
It is.
And when you're on this island, it does something to you. You can either
You're trying to click back into it after
Yeah.
coming back from the
Yeah.
States. Yeah.
It's tricky because I mean I love it here. I love that you can do anything you want here. You can build something, you can create something. It's there. It's such like fertile soil for you to try something. But sometimes you do want efficiency.
Yeah.
And you do feel like, this would have saved us so much time. If we're supposed to contend with the rest of the world, then I do think that way. But for some reason, our system works in some way. It gets us to the finish line, and it gets us to a place where we're like, that was a crazy adventure. It makes a great story.
Great story. So many great stories.
And I feel like whoever you're doing it with, you kind of bond, like it builds your bond and brings you a lot closer.
It's so much. It's also just the community spirit here, right? Like in immigration, like everyone was like sharing food and sharing snacks, and I was trying. I'd brought like my journal. I'd brought this blocks game that I play, and the aunties on both sides of me were just like they just kept leaning over, and it's just like I don't think you put the yellow blocks in the right place there. You know, it's just like shut up. And then I was like writing in my journal, and they were all like just like left-handed. It's like everyone's in everyone's shit, and it's kind of great. I just kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is like, I need to, maybe that should be part of what we sell here as a tourism package. It's like, try a day at the immigration.
You want to know
office.
what it's like? Yeah, go to the Department of Immigration. Yeah. And you know what? And everyone in there was working their butt off. Like, it's not because no one's not doing anything, you know, like everyone from place to place to place. It's like, it was like a 24-hour service, and people are just like stamping stuff, talking to, like, there is stuff going on the whole time there. I just think the systems have been so off for so long that there's another system built around it, but I don't think it's for lack of people working or trying.
Yeah.
It's just the system.
Right.
Yeah.
It goes, I think why we're at that place, and sometimes we think about, you know, why is it not efficient, is because there's a story of a man going into a village, and he asks this lady, he says, hey, you've got this giant piece of lamb, and you're gonna cook it in this little pot. Is like, why are you cooking it like that? She says, because that's the way my mother did it. Like he's like, it doesn't make sense, it's so big, it's not gonna fit. And she's like, no, we cut it and we make it fit. And then he by chance runs into the mother of that lady, and he's like, how come you guys, cook this lamb in such a small pot? She's like, because my mother did it.
Yeah.
Like that. And so then it goes, and like they don't even want to have give you a reason. It's like, because my mother did it that way. And then for some reason he runs into the grandmother, the mom that started it all, and he says, how come you guys don't, like, you cook this way and you put this giant piece of meat to this really tiny pot? It's gonna suffer your meat, and like it's not gonna turn out well. She says basically, well, I can't afford a bigger pot. And that's what tradition is sometimes. It's just like, we couldn't do that.
Get the pot.
Right?
Yeah.
And so then it just like passes on. But then I also see the beauty of that, like, because grandma did it that way, or because our forefathers did it that way, so we're just going to try to make it work. We are stubborn in that way. I think we don't want to change things, and I also think there's a charm to that in some fashion.
We're incredibly stubborn, and it is one of the greatest and worst aspects of Sinhalese culture. And I do think what I've also realized is that, and I've been seeing more things on this, where like the people that moved out of the country, and then, for example, with my parents who raised us outside the country, their idea of Sri Lanka just like has not changed. And here I think like everything's changed, everything's moving forward at like kind of, it feels like a hurtling speed sometimes. And yeah, I've just felt really humbled to kind of be a little bit of a part of that and have an insight into that, because if I was outside the country, there's no way I would know how much is going on here right now. Yeah,
that makes sense. Are you thinking you would ever move here?
I would love to. I don't know how we would sort Charlie's visa ever.
It's a forever tricky thing.
Yeah. So I think even with him being here for 4 months, like we had to keep going back and then like getting another ETA. And apparently there's like agents who can do that for you. Obviously lawyer brain, immediately I'm like, well, Jason, I don't know, because the paperwork, right. But I don't know. I think my ultimate now, because Melbourne very much is home as well. And so much of my comedy community and work is there. Yeah. My ultimate now is to do this more. So just have longer stays. Like when I come, I don't just duck in, go to the beach for 2 weeks and then go home. I want to like keep doing these projects that I've been involved in for like the last couple of months, and meeting all these people and going to all these events and exciting things. So
what's that like?
So weird.
hanging out with Colombo and like socializing? What have you learned?
So weird. I've learned that Charlie and I call them the Colombo cool kids, and like they all know each other because they all went to the same schools, and they all and like now they studied abroad and they came back, and they all like are involved in the family businesses or something. And it's very interesting because it's a tier of Colombo's social class
Yep.
that I actually have no right to be in. But by virtue of, I think like the population of Sri Lanka is like just over 20 million.
Yep.
I think about 4 million of those are English speakers,
Yeah.
that segment. And so they all have a certain schooling and a certain whatever, and they're the ones that tend to follow my comedy. So they're the ones so they have been very welcoming of me, and they're like, oh my God, hi, like, welcome, come have dinner, come have drinks, come do this, come do that. And I love it. But I'm also just like, I feel very fish out of water. Yeah, is what I would say. Yeah, because it's a level of wealth that I definitely didn't grow up around. So when they're talking about schools and things that they've done, I'm just like, oh, we had very different Sri Lanka experiences. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when we talk wealth here, I mean we talk wealth.
Yeah.
We're talking up there.
Like money. Like money,
green.
money. Yeah.
Might as well paint yourself green.
Yeah.
It is such like you said, it is an interesting system, and getting into that circles, and it's like communicating with them is a whole different world than the rest of Sri Lanka. That's why Colombo is its own thing, and Sri Lanka is its own thing. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Oh, you see them as two very separate like sectors.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
I don't think Colombo is our island life, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's beautiful that there's something like that exists, but then the rest of the country is something else. I've learned to ebb and flow between the two.
Yes.
And I prefer it that way too.
Yeah, well, I don't really fit, and I'm already like socially pretty anxious and awkward in like group situations, and just very aware when everyone around me is wearing like really lovely jewelry and really lovely shoes and stuff. I'm like, oh no, I don't do any of that, and I never will. So I not because it's like a thing. It's just not in my nature to dress well. We covered this last time. And everyone's so well dressed and like so well presented and so beautiful. Yeah. And it's so funny because like we've been going to these events where like everyone rocks up with their drivers or their cars, and we're just like in a tuk-tuk, and just been like also leaving in a tuk-tuk and just kind of like, I don't know. Yeah.
That's a very interesting point. Do you feel like bad doing that, like taking a tuk-tuk to a place?
I think
like
that's always been my primary mode of travel. That's been my family's primary mode of travel when we've been here, always to get around. And for me, it's such a blast to have that as a mode of travel, and it's so quick and easy. And yes, it messes up my hair, and I arrive with like grit on my face, but I'm just like, I don't care. So I think it's like that weird thing where they're like, oh, I'm meeting a star, and they're like, she's kind of but she's funny, so it's okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
you don't have to say it because it's there, right? Like it's.
I was trying to find a kind word for what must be going on in their mind, but also to be fair, they've never made me feel like that. That's my assumption of what they think they might think of me when we meet. It's no one's ever made me feel that way, so I have to be very clear about that.
That is fair. That is fair. Yeah, it's most of the time internal, but I think tuk-tuks are freaking awesome because now that we have electric tuk-tuks here in Sri Lanka too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's very affordable. You can check them out. Now on to today's sponsor. No, I'm kidding. I wish they did. That would be awesome if I get an electric tuk-tuk. But they manufacture them here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How are there charges, like charging ports and stuff?
Not as many. There's a couple of stations in Colombo. Nothing. I don't know. I'm pretty sure some of the key cities should have them, like Gaul. Somewhere in Gaul should have it.
Yeah.
Because there are a few in Colombo that I know of.
Right.
But it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there. for sure. I'm just happy
Pretty
that
exciting.
we have a really cool sports car that's made here, an electric sports car. We also have like, for me, the highlight is the tuk-tuks. They just look freaking cool.
Oh, cool. I'll
Yeah.
Google it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
The other thing that's been weird traveling around the country
Mhm.
is the number of tourists who are like obsessed with hiring a tuk-tuk and driving it around.
Mm.
There's this guy that I met at Pidurangula Rock.
Yeah.
And he had driven from Negombo to Sigiriya. Like he'd
Whoa.
landed and then driven from Negombo to Sigiriya. So it was like a 4 hours in a tuk-tuk or
Right.
something. And then he ran Pidurangala and he was like, is there any point going to Sigiriya? Like, I mean, I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, mate, you've driven 4 hours in a tuk-tuk to
Yeah.
look at a rock from a
Yeah.
rock. Like,
Yeah.
go to Sigiriya.
Yeah. There's a lot of great. Yeah, that's a really good point. You should, even if you see Sigiriya from afar, you should definitely climb it.
Well, it's also like Sigiriya isn't the rock, right? Because there's just been now I'm seeing like a lot of videos just being like, you can get the same view from Pidurangala. It's like, it's it's not the view.
Yeah. It's not the view. It's cool to see Sigiriya in its whole from that
Awesome.
perspective.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. But just going through that and just knowing that our history is so rich, just like it does something to your brain. You're like, we are a really old country.
I really think that's another thing. Like, I think I've always been very proud to be Sri Lankan, but there's like this new weird flame of pride that it doesn't always come out in a good form, to be honest. Because when that guy was like, oh, should I go there? And I was like, listen. And I just kind of told him all about Sigiriya and was like, told him how old it was and this happened. And he was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like, lady, just
Thanks,
I'm not
crazy.
the edge of the rock.
Thank you so much, crazy lady. But there's been this thing that's like started happening. Like it was like with the turtles down south. Like just there's something that just kind of burns where it's just kind of like, oh, this is my country.
What happened
and
with the
I wanna
turtles?
do- It was just a lot of turtle harassment down south,
Really?
which is a bummer. Like there are a lot of spots where turtles come because people have been feeding them.
Okay.
Fine if you must feed white turtles, which is bad.
Mm-hmm.
But they have been trained to come to the same spots. And in high season, like you just see all these people. Like if this is the turtle, there's like this ring of people around them at all times. And with the ocean, I don't know if you know, but like waves come in and then waves go out again.
Yeah.
And then turtles move with them. So they just bash into people's legs all the time because they're standing so close. And we were down there at the same spot for about 10 days. And I was just like, I wonder when this happens. Is this an all day thing? And so it was from like 9 o'clock in the morning to about like 6 p.m. at night till the sun goes down. Like there were just people taking photos all the time. Which isn't great. But again, I was talking to like staff along those areas and they were like, we've tried putting up signs. Like people just don't care. Like the tourists just don't know enough not to do it. And most of them, you know, they do like a little pat and move on.
Yeah.
But then the turtles are getting like 20 pats an hour or whatever. And you're not supposed to touch them at all. And that's not the worst bit. Like there's people who try to like pick them up and like pick them up by their fins, sit on them to see how strong they are to like, so there's all this stuff, weird stuff going on.
That's wild.
I didn't like it. I yelled at a lot of Russians down there because it was mostly Russian tour groups.
Right.
Outing them on the podcast, but it's like all of the signs that say don't touch the turtles are in Russian.
I mean, we're not saying it for all Russians, but we are telling Russian tourists to be better.
Hashtag
for sure.
Not all Russians and not only Russian tourists, but predominantly. I don't know if we were just there at a time where there were a lot of like Russian tour groups going through or something. And like, even when I would like go up and be like, hey, like I would see the Sri Lankan staff say, like, don't touch, not supposed to touch. And they just ignore them. So then I would be like, hey, you're not supposed to touch them. And they'd just be like, you know, like act really confused. And I was like, what could I possibly be saying other than don't sit on the turtle? Like what other conversation topic would we be engaging in right now? So that was really weird. But then we just went back last weekend and there's no one down there now because it's off season. So I think we just happened to go at a time when like there were a lot of people
Peak
down
season,
there.
yeah.
But I'm not an environmentalist. I've literally never thought about turtles before. And then when I saw this happening on the beach, I was just like running over and yelling at people. And I was like, what is this? Is this like country pride? Because I don't do this in Australia.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. That is weird. Well, I mean, it's not just that. I think even when you head to like places like Yala and stuff, like at one point it was so bad with like pollution list, people just throwing their stuff out of the vehicles, like as they're done with their biscuits, boom,
Yeah.
package goes out, and you're like, what the hell is going on? They curve that though. It's not as much as it used to. I haven't been in a couple of years, so I don't know what the current status is, but they turned it around. They were very strict with it at one point. I don't know if it was consistently there.
I mean, like all the laws are in place. That's the thing. Like it's illegal to touch, for example, it's illegal to touch wildlife. I think it's under the FFPO, the Flora and Fauna Protection Act. And it has been for a really long time. It's just a really difficult thing to enforce. Also, it's a difficult thing to enforce when you're so reliant on the tourism sector and you don't want to piss off the tourists by telling them that they can't do stuff. So I've seen that and I think that's why like I could go and yell at them because I had no stake in them then coming to my restaurant and then buying and eating stuff. And and think like I went to yell at like 10 years ago and I was kind of stunned by like it kind of felt like a factory of like moving around. And again, I think I went in a really high season and there were people like feeding the monkeys and it was just kind of chaos. So I was like, I don't want to be back here for a while. Wilpattu was much calmer, but also it's much bigger, I think. Like it's not as compact as Yala. But it's just like we have so much here. So much. In terms of wildlife, it's unparalleled what the country offers in terms of beaches, in terms of ruins. As a tourist destination, it's actually unbelievable. So I'm just like, protect it. We can protect it.
Absolutely.
Also, if we want to raise revenue, fine them, man. Yeah, that'd be
Lots
sick.
of good finds.
Yeah.
I love good find.
Oh, so good.
That get me going.
Do they? Are you all for fines?
It's just all about that fine life. I'm so sorry. Those dad jokes just coming out here. But dude, that's awesome. I think it's really cool to have someone like you in the country, spearheading the comedy stuff and trying to bring something in here into the country and just help shape an industry, which is commendable. That's what we need. We need more people to come back and just give a little bit of you and leave a little bit of you back.
It's so nice. I feel like it's like what you do, but like to a much, much smaller level from my side. Like you're doing it, you're building it, and you have been for some time, you know? Like I want to figure out how to do more, but I need to figure out the best way to do that. And I just feel like we just have this huge diaspora, this massive diaspora who could kind of help with stuff, but I don't know
what
how.
You've done in 3 months. I feel like is a good blueprint because you've experienced the worst and the best at the same time. And I love that you mentioned the immigration office because that's a great teaching. So if you think you want to come back to Sri Lanka, to your homeland, and try something, and you know you have this big vision, try a day at the immigration. Do that first. If you get through and you think, oh, I think I could keep doing this. Then you're in.
You're on. I've met this must happen to you. Like that I've just met so many people who have come back and, you know, like they were educated overseas and they're like, no, they all talk about this call. Like they just kind of felt like they needed to be here more. And I definitely felt that for the first time last year. I was like, I need to be back here more.
People talk about, and this could sound kind of cheesy and corny, but there's always a connection to where you come from. And the moment you take your shoes off and you actually place your feet for the first time, like truly consciously do that, you start to feel something. It's not like a movie where you're like, oh, in that moment, but like there's something. You can't explain what it is. You do feel like you have a purpose here. And some people choose to explore it. Some people don't. And I would encourage, come back.
Do it. Even just to see if you can get a passport.
Passport,
just
bro.
Try to get it.
Yeah. It's good. I love it. Well, I'm so glad that you were here and I can't wait to see you next year and see what's up.
Loved it.
And then see how the stand-up comedy stuff grows here in Sri Lanka on the next pod.
Next time.
Yes.
1 year retro.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm in it to win it. All right, Sash, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much
Appreciate
for having
your
me
time.
again.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot.